First Watch with Sheriff Mark Daniels on KWCD Bisbee Sierra Vista. Hosted by Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
And welcome to your Friday. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas and Sheriff Mark Daniels. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
And it's good to have Carol back.
Oh, thank you.
You bring that balance back to our voices. Because Grady, I got these deep, manly voices, so you kind of put a balance to that and stuff. I'm closer to your voice than I am Grady. So.
That's funny.
Just going to be honest here.
Well, welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's start with soccer.
ALA, American Leadership Academy, their soccer. Let me just say this. We got 3 home games next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at Keith Hampton Field at 4:30. So come on out. This is a girls varsity ALA. It's first season, inaugural season. So come on out. But let me just say, they're doing amazing. They really are. They're a very, very young team. But let me tell you, the way they're playing, you give this team a couple more years, and they're going to be making a statement here in the state. But, again, ALA soccer next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, home at Keith Hampton Field at 4:30. So if you got some little ones who want to come out and see some soccer, some high school soccer, and use that as like a carrot to get kids involved, come on out. You'll like the way they play.
Also working on a Department of Education thing with the schools.
Yes. In fact, I had the opportunity Monday to go up to the Department of Education and present to us on a positive. You know, there's so much negative out there. I mean, social media, and everybody wants to throw daggers and negative comments. But let me just say this. Kudos to Jackie Clay and Cynthia and her team over at the county superintendent's office, and to all our superintendents around the county, working together with law enforcement, sheriff's office, and the things we're doing. I mean, we're doing some amazing things here, from mental health to technology to keeping kiddos safe. And Nicole Young over, the principal at the high school over here at Buena. I mean, everybody that's out there caring for these kiddos. But we had the opportunity, and I had the opportunity to go up on Monday to speak to the Department of Education and talk about those collaborations. And it was well received, at least I was told it was. And I talked about that we all stay in our respective lanes, but when the lanes start moving more and more, and that's what's happening here, we're pushing a ton of educational, we're pushing a ton of public safety together. We're keeping kids safe, but we're educating them, and that's most important. So thanks to the Department of Education for letting me be there. But I learned something up there. So I was supposed to speak at 9 in the morning, left here like 4:30 in the morning, but I didn't speak till about 11:30, 11:15, whatever it was. The fact is, they had the homeschool parents there from all over the state who are very upset about funding cuts to Tom Horn, the school superintendent. And so it was quite interesting to see a different level of government. I know we deal with the public safety frustrations, but seeing that, and let me tell you, I wouldn't want to get in front of some of those moms that were very upset up there. But I asked later what happened, and suppose they're going to go back and revisit that. And because, listen, whether you're a school superintendent, whether you're a sheriff, at the end of the day, we're elected and we work for the people. We have to listen to them.
One thing that we're trying to do at the sheriff's office and with other local agency is regionalize.
Yeah, we've taken so much regionalization. I thought it'd be a great update for the morning show here when it goes back. And that's just a bit in a rural county or even an urban community. I mean, you look at Las Vegas. That's such a urban, big area and fast-moving city, but they're regionalized. They have a sheriff that oversees all their law enforcement operations there. You put it all under one roof. You save money. You bring your law enforcement together for all the right reasons. So I'm big in that, always have been. So we have a regionalization when it comes to our SWAT team. So we have regional SWAT. So when you see a critical event going in Cochise County, you're going to see a sheriff's vehicle. You're going to see a Benson police officer there. You're going to see Sierra Vista police officers and their teams and their equipment there. Together, collectively, we're coming together, and it gives us a better, efficient, and effective response no matter where we're at in the county, because we're stationed throughout the county. Regional narcotics, we're working on that. We're working together to go after the bad guys. Regional border, we've talked so much about our border operations. That is because we're regionalized, state, local, and federal. Regional critical incident response team. So if there is an officer involved shooting, that's a regional team responding. So again, I could go on. Regional dispatch, CCOM. What an amazing thing they're doing over there. Continue to doing the right thing, improving services, that quality that we all push for. So again, knocking that out of the park. Again, on and on. I'm so proud of this regionalization in this county. I think we're setting the stage in so many ways, paramount for what we're doing in this state and beyond.
And also, we want to give a shout out for, speaking of SWAT, they get to use some places sometimes because they have to train.
You know, it's the hardest thing for SWAT is finding that facility to go out there and do entries and you know, clear a home, clear a building. So I want to thank some of our businesses around the county that have been so gracious, our schools that have allowed us to do it. But one that just stood up for us and helped us was Sun Canyon Homes. Thank you guys so much over there for allowing us to come in and use those facilities to help out and make our team better. So Sun Canyon Homes, thank you for allowing us to be a partner.
And we were working hard on getting organized and having testing for new employees, so that was another project that everybody was working on.
Right. We just had testing last Saturday, Carol, and that was with our partner over at Cochise College. I think we had 87 apply, and you're probably saying that's not a lot. That is a lot in today's times. Let me just say, I remember the days back in the 80s when you tested, you have to go into an auditorium just to do the first test, and there was broken out segments because there's hundreds and thousands of people wanting to be a cop. Now we use classrooms. It puts it in perspective, small classrooms. We had 87 that apply. I think we had about 57 to 60 show up that day, which still is a larger number than most. People will apply for different reasons and they back out. But in this case, we had between 50 and 60 show up. And right now I think we're at 26 that was still being processed through, which is good. That's a nice pool to start streamlining that down. So we're excited about that. I saw them doing oral boards yesterday, and I talked to a couple before they went into the oral boards. I was walking through the halls at the office, and they said, "Hi, Sheriff," and which they knew who I was, which is always good because I believe that's one of the thoughts in the questions. But I told them, I said, "You nervous?" And they said, "I'm really nervous." I said, two of them, I said this to, just be you. All we want you to do is be you. You know, if you like people, be you. That's all we ask.
And I think part of the draw there is the culture and just the ambiance of the sheriff's office, but also having the training academy right here. So, you know, you don't have to send somebody far away, and you have people that they're going to integrate with and just actually work with in their future career.
Well, it is. We've focused our recruitment homegrown. We really have, from our CTE programs, working within the schools, I think about a dozen of our team members that coach around the county, getting these schools, getting to know these young people, and then recruiting them into our office and stuff. And let's face it, there's not an agency in the country that's not out there recruiting hard. And let me just say this. I mean, we're about 6% below the market average right now when it comes to with our competitors. So, yeah, we have to recruit, we have to retain, and we have to do that with a culture, like you're saying, which means we empower our people, we embrace them, we show them support. Agencies don't do that. Some can afford to do it. I can't. It costs me, just for the people out there hearing. For us to get somebody through the academy, hired through the academy, get them on the road, that's over $100,000, not in counting equipment. So you can imagine the investment we have in these, our young men and women, the talent, before they even touch a patrol car. So again, we take that very serious.
Last week was the Tour de Zona, and it was a very successful event.
Yes, I mean they had an increase from the year before, and this is something that a lot of people don't understand. John Black, which is my commander, retired colonel, I mean just an amazing guy, runs our volunteers here at the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Assist Team, and he actually connected. He's a bike rider himself, connected to get them down here. Now, I remember the first year there was little attention on him. Nobody cared much about him. Our Sheriff's Assist Team, under the guidance and leadership of John, went out there and actually kept them safe. It has grown now to what we're seeing, where they're packing the Veterans Park, they're out there, they're everywhere. It's become a tradition here. And so every Sunday I go out, which is a ride from here to Tombstone. I go out, and that's my kickoff. I get to say thank you for coming, you know, be safe, you know, the whole thing. But I talk to the folks. But I was there also when they got the opportunity to present John Black and the Sheriff's Assist Team, which is a 501c, by the way, which is a nonprofit tax exempt. They actually gave them a check for $2,000 for doing what they do to help them keep them safe and stuff. So that is now a partnership. That's no longer an event. That's a partnership. So thank you, John and Steve and Alan, the whole SAT team. I get to spend some time with them on Sunday. But another successful event. And I know John told me he fielded quite a few calls from the public being upset because the bikes were in the road and things like that. I get it. It's a dual purpose respect. So I know John fielded those complaints and hopefully addressed your problems there. And
another event coming up that's always wildly successful is Cars for Kids.
Cars for Kids. It's a week from tomorrow. Man, it's amazing how fast that came. But in fact, I was out this week. It took like a half a day. Went out and finished up the final touches on that for Cars for Kids. But that is an event sponsored by the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 28. We do that for the Boys and Girls Club. This is our 13th annual Cars for Kids. It's at Cal Ranch Hobby Lobby on Sunday. Anytime after 8 o'clock, you can roll in there and start looking at the cool cars. We're hoping to hit 300 cars this year. We're hoping to make a lot of money again for the kiddos, and right now we're on track, hopefully, to set another record. And let me just say, thanks to the efforts of this community, this community, we raised, I think it was over $60,000. I think it's like $63,000 for our Cars for Kids. 70% of that goes to the Boys and Girls Club for their outreach programs for the kids, helping them, sports and education, and 30% goes back to the FOP, Fraternal Order of Police, so we can do our outreach for kids and community groups. So again, it's a win-win. I call it a non-debt show, which means somebody says, hey, we'll come provide the service to you, Sheriff, but you got to pay us $1,000. Sorry, maybe some other event. If you can't come in and provide a service that's free, and we can take every dollar and give it back to the cause, then we don't do it. I mean, very, very, very small, maybe 1% we pay as expenses. The rest is 99%, if not 100%, goes right to the kids. So we're excited about it. Cars for Kids, come on out. Opening ceremonies at 10 o'clock that morning if you want to come out and see our opening ceremonies. And we got the Benson criminal justice kids coming down for that. And just a bunch of stuff all day long. We got prizes. We got auction items. And I got to say this, thanks to Morris Automotive, Berg's Heating and Cooling, Right Way Heating, Hatfields, Cool Dreams, Prestige. I can go on forever with some of our sponsors, but we're going to give away, thanks to Berg's and Right Way Heating, a $20,000 HVAC system. We're going to auction that off, and that includes installation and equipment. So if you're in the need of an HVAC system, come on out. We're going to do the auction at 2 o'clock. What a cool thing. I know if you're building a house, or if you have a house that says, hey, I need that, come on out. I think you'd be pretty pleased if you can get that pretty cheap. So, but it's a $20,000 investment. We're going to auction off, and auctions, you never know. There is no minimum price, I can tell you right now. So if you get it, you might get it for $1,000. Who knows who's going to bid? But either way, thanks you to Bergs and Right Way for doing that.
Well, we have a program going on with the state of Arizona called Desert Guardian. Tell us what that is.
Desert Guardian is a program from the state of Arizona, the governor's office, and all her team, DPS, about removing drugs off the streets. It really is. Fentanyl is the number one choice, but we put out a press release with DPS over like a 3-day, 4-day interdiction. And I know there's some comments on there, and I was looking at this. It's like, what a waste, this thing. I don't consider that a waste. Carol, you and I were talking about this before we went on the air this morning. I mean 113 stops, yeah. These are interdiction. We're looking for the worst of the worst, and we can't put a lot on there because a lot of these stops take us to further and deeper investigations. But I can assure one out of our interdiction that you're going to have something out on it today, Carol. What was it, 75 pounds of meth, heroin, and fentanyl. It's coming out, that press release. I mean, I can tell you about a child trafficking investigation we're doing right now, but I can't get deep into it, that we rescued a child. I think it was 50-some search warrants last year for border-related crimes. That had a nexus to Cochise County all the way up into Phoenix and beyond. And they're doing amazing work, these interdiction guys. But part of it we have to be sensitive to. But this case, I'm just talking about the drugs, which is part of this. It wasn't part of that initial press release because they were still doing some things on it. But we can release some stuff now.
Right, and so you're absolutely correct. So this particular one that was part of this Desert Guardian, it started in 2024, before Desert Guardian was a thing, and so we didn't put anything out on it because you have to follow the money, you have to follow the people, you have to follow the trails, and as a result of that, they were able to continue on into March of 25. And they were just getting initially in this month 7.78 pounds of meth and 4.12 ounces of coke and 3.35 ounces of heroin. But they continued on again in multi-agency effort, and they ultimately, as a result of that first little stop that got that is a substantial amount. Then they ended up with 74.1 pounds of meth, 1.15 pounds of cocaine, and 9.62 ounces of heroin. So they did arrest somebody. They booked him into Pima County, and there's multiple charges. And again, the investigation's continuing, so we are not able to expand on other things that they're doing and the tentacles that reach out from that. But that's always what happens. So when we have a press release and then we have people say, well, you know what, that's just like, that's nothing. That's, you know, a drop in the bucket. What are you doing? Look at all the stuff getting through. Well, that's what we're trying to do, is look at all the stuff getting through.
Well, let's look at the other side of it. If we weren't doing it, what would be coming through?
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do, press releases go beyond just what's inside the press release. I know it sounds kind of unique to say it like that, but it's also about prevention and deterrence, and that's what we're doing here. And I have other counterparts that would say it's not my problem. If it comes to the board, it's the federal government's problem. No, it's all our problem. And the fact is that we need to continue to address the cartels, these criminal organizations that are putting poison in our communities, that are killing thousands of Americans a day. If every sheriff, every police chief did what we did in Cochise County, like we're doing here, I tell you, we could make a difference. That would be the war on drugs. And somebody made a comment, well, the war on drugs is, you know, it wasn't a good comment. And I thought to myself, so do nothing? I would counter that all day. We're going to continue to do what we do. I think, and I've always said this ever since '98, we put our Southeastern Arizona DUI task force together, that the best night is we get no drunks. And people say, oh, what a waste of time. No, I consider that a success story. That means it's working. So, again, I will counter those comments on social media, and I'm not going to spend any more time on it because it doesn't deserve any more time when it comes to those negative ones. We're keeping your kiddos safe and the people safe in this community.
So let's talk a little bit about rabies.
Ooh, in fact, we've had 2 rabid foxes in Ramsey Canyon, thanks to our partners, Al Thomason, who works with us under the USDA program, and then our animal control. And so we've had 2 rabid foxes there. And that's a pretty urbanized area, if you want to call it such, for Cochise County, and running through those neighborhoods. And then we just had a coyote issue. I just heard that yesterday. And this is the time of season where people are getting out more. I mean, walking, hiking, enjoying this beautiful spring. I told you it's going to be green in a couple weeks. I'm telling you. If not, I'm going to be really sad. But so be careful when you see these animals. I mean, if they're acting unique, crazy, friendly, even to a point, don't go up and try to pet it, please. I mean, or don't deal with it. Just keep on walking. Give us a call. Let us address it. We have the experts who can come in and deal with that. I'd rather be safe. I was talking to a guy the other day that got bit by one of these foxes. I think it was a fox that bit him, and he's going through the treatment now. So, again, don't put yourself through that. I mean, it's not a good thing.
No, and it's the worst drought in over 100 years is what they're, projecting here. So I'm not sure about the grain in a couple of weeks, but hey, we can be optimistic.
We can.
However, go ahead.
after April 5th, we don't want rain on the cars for kids.
Oh, got it.
April 6th, let it pour. Let it pour.
And the animals are coming down, and they're being, aggressive, and rabies is bad. Yes. So people, specifically with the Cudamonde, there was a little bit of humor there, which there shouldn't have been. A man got attacked, but with the windshield wiper, and of course we got some traction out of that with the animal ripping off the windshield wiper, and was he doing a Zorro? You have to imagine all of those different dynamics and just getting the story out there, and that's what gets people to read these things, are the finer details. But please, please be careful and make sure your animals are vaccinated, and make sure you're aware of your surroundings.
I didn't hear that story. The Cudamonga?
Yeah, the Cudamonde. He was on the hood of the guy's truck when he got back from hiking in Ash Canyon.
Wow.
And the guy started yelling and waving his arms, and the animal reportedly ripped off the windshield wiper and started going after the guy. So he started throwing rocks at him and trying to get away, and the thing was, scratching him, and by the time he got to his truck and was able to get in, it actually bit him on his calf. I mean, he's got puncture wounds, and he drove himself to the hospital, and never did find the animal. And no, people were concerned that we were going to go Cudamonde hunting and kill all of them trying to get the right one, and that's not how the operation works. But they weren't able to successfully locate, a lone animal that was exhibiting any type of aggressiveness or signs of rabies. But yeah, it was something. So
I got to tell a spin story on that one. We had, nobody breaks into jails. I mean, they break out of jails, but they never break into jails. Knock on wood, I'm saying this. And my commander that runs the jail is probably having a fit. I'm going to tell the story. But we actually had a Kumunda, I always say it different, actually break into our jail. That's a clue about our jail, by the way, folks. But he broke into the jail and got into the plumbing area, and we have pictures of him up there. We're like, what is that? What came in here? Because he had him on our camera system. And sure enough, there he was sitting up on the rafter. Those things are pretty unique animal.
They are
and,
unique.
We were flying a helicopter over Miller Peak here a couple of years ago. I don't know why I was flying that day with them, but we came over the peak, and under the tree came about 40 to 60 of those guys flying out of there. I mean, it's like a sci-fi movie. I'm like, okay, get the helicopter up, just in case. Get the helicopter up. But, yeah, they're a unique animal, man. And we have one that hangs out at the Sheriff's Department in Bisbee. Mm-hmm. And I was out on my phone one day behind my office talking, and I hear something in the trees, and here comes out of the tree crawling. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? I mean, seriously. And so I thought, well, I'll jump in the bed of the pickup if he comes my way, but then he can jump better than I can. So I thought, well, we'll just fight here on the pavement. But long story short, he just walked away like life was good. So, again, if you see him, just ignore them. Hopefully they'll ignore you, too.
All right, Sheriff Daniels, what is your stop of the week?
This is a good one. I was coming back, as I just stated, from the Department of Ed up in Phoenix, and I passed this truck on I-10, a semi-commercial vehicle, and nothing wrong with it. Turned on to 90, stopped at Love's, came out of Love's a few minutes later, got back in my car heading south, and there's that same semi. So I come up behind it. It's got its emergency flashers on. It's going about 35 miles an hour, plus or minus. But I know something's wrong with the truck. The trailer, the semi-trailer, is just the outside, the inside rim axle is kind of look like it's bent down. So I kind of pulled drifted my car to the right to look. The dualies is gone in the back. So the whole dually broke off the axle. Somewhere that dualie's out there on the highway, and that's a deadly deal when that happens. So I stopped the driver and talked to him, and he told me, and I'm not going to be mean here, but I said, man, you lost your dualies. Oh, did I? Are you kidding me? You don't know? And so that truck didn't go anywhere. He got some citations for unsafe vehicle, and we deadlined the truck right there. And I said, listen, it's a lawful order. You have to come get a tow and stuff like that. But, again, when you're following semis, people like to follow too close. Those are not vehicles you want to follow too close. If that dually would have came off, and where it happened, we checked, we found that there was no accidents. But somewhere, if you find a set of dualies somewhere coming into Cochise County on the interstate, I got the driver. Let me know. I can get those back to him. But long story short is just be careful when you're following these big rigs. When something comes off those things, let me tell you, that could be deadly. So just be careful out there. But this individual did get a ticket, and there were some other issues going on there too. But yeah, so we addressed that.
Well, Sheriff Mark Daniels, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Grady, Carol, everybody have a great week. It's going to be a beautiful one. Be safe.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Giving you an inside look to your sheriff's office. Let's go back to First Watch on KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas. And our next guest from the Sierra Vista Police Department is Scott Borgstadt. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you've brought a guest.
I did bring a guest. Yes, I brought one of our CSOs, our community service officers, Amber Laring. She's got some special skills. This is something new that the Sierra Vista Police Department is starting next Wednesday, April 2nd, and it will continue every Wednesday after that from 11 to 4 p.m., 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is a free child safety seat inspection and or installation. Amber is one of our child passenger safety technicians. She and another CSO that we have went to some specialized training to learn how to properly install and inspect child safety seats. So this is something that we're going to start next Wednesday from 11 to 4. I'm going to turn it over to Amber, and she can kind of tell everybody a little bit about what she does.
Good morning. Yes, so we're going to be doing these child safety seat inspections and or installations. The purpose is that we want to make sure that our kids are safely secured in all our vehicles. We want to educate the public on the proper way to install a car seat, which I did not realize the importance of until I myself learned that I did not install my own car seat correctly. So it is very important. And then We will make sure that everyone knows all the proper ways to install the car seats, whether they want them rear facing, forward facing, booster seats, and any questions that they have about that we can answer for them.
So obviously, one would be like a fresh install. How do I do this? But what about people that already have one installed? Can they check to see if it's okay?
Yes, which is how I learned that my own car seat for my toddler was not correctly installed.
All right, so invite everybody out to this event again next Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be next Wednesday starting April 2nd, and again every Wednesday after that from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Sierra Vista Police Department. Just come to the front parking lot, come on into the lobby, let our desk staff know that you're there to have your car seat inspected or installed, and Amber and our other CSO will help out with that. It's really interesting because in talking with Amber about this, it's not just go, okay, here's how you do this, bing, bing, bing. No, they actually look at your car seat. They check online to see if it has any recalls. They also go through your owner's manual and educate people on where to look for that to properly install the car seat. So what they do is they'll install it correctly, and then they'll take it out and then have that individual who owns it install it correctly, just to make sure that, you know, if it has to be taken out, they can install it again. So it's not just a real quick thing. It is going to take a little bit of time to do this, but it's a great piece of knowledge for folks to have. So again, next Wednesday, starting April 2nd, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then every Wednesday after that.
What a great program. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us today about what you're doing with the car seats.
Thank you.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. Keep up to date. Follow the Cochise County Sheriff's Office on Facebook and tune in next Friday, 7 a.m. for First Watch right here on KWCD.